Welcome everyone. I wanted to make a quick video today to address one of the most common questions I get from new Nadex traders. How do I trade 5-minute binary options, and more specifically, how do I know when to buy and when to sell? For many new traders, it can be incredibly difficult to gauge where the market is going. My goal here is to help you build an edge on a 1-minute chart of the euro dollar. An edge is defined as an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over the other, the price either going up or going down. The setup we're looking for is going to use two of the oldest and most textbook indicators, exponential moving averages and relative strength index. We're going to use exponential moving averages because they place more weight on the most recent price, and that's going to allow us to get a quick indication of change in trend and allow us to just get some further confirmation that the market is going to move in one direction or the other. RSI is another very basic indicator. It is used to identify overbought and oversold conditions in the market. As it approaches 70, that would indicate an overbought signal, and as it approaches 30, that would be an oversold signal. Now we're going to tie both of these indicators together and take a look at some price action here on a live chart of the euro dollar and really just identify some entries and exits and observe how you'd be able to actually utilize this in a real life scenario. What we're looking for here is going to be the RSI moving towards 70 or 30, which is going to give us our overbought or oversold signal and identify our entry based on the most recent candle closing above the 8 EMA and eventually the 4 EMA crossing over the 8. We're going to speed the chart up here a little bit and just observe how the market is going to react to some of these levels that we're trying to identify here. So as you can see, we're coming off of a low point in the RSI where it came down and came right above 30, and we had a bullish crossing here of the 4 EMA crossing over the 8. And as you can see, the price is moving up nicely here, and that's exactly what we want to see. You'll see that we got a little faked out with this candle closing below the 8 EMA, but we didn't really see a lot of confirmation as it popped right back up. So it's going to be important that we remain patient and wait for our setup to fully develop. And we're going to move up a little bit higher here and just wait and see what happens. Sometimes as a trader, the best thing you can do is sit on your hands, be patient, and wait for your setup to fully develop. Now we see a little bit of a higher move here, and the RSI looks to have peaked around like 65, and we do start to see the market move down a little bit here, so we're going to look to get into our first short position. So what you really want to be careful of is getting faked out a little bit like we did earlier, but we're going to wait to see for this bearish crossing, and we're starting to get it a little bit here. Let's wait for the next candle to close, and then that will probably be the indication for when you'd want to actually get in. Now we're really starting to get a little bit of movement down here, so this is when you're going to want to get short. Everybody's going to want to try to nail the top, and that's going to be a very difficult thing to do because we really didn't have much confirmation that the market was going to change trend. But we do have this bearish crossing here, so we're going to establish a short position, and if the market does decide to move back up above this most recent swing high, that's probably where we're going to want to look to get out of the trade, set a stop, or close out of any current position that we have. But as you can see, the market does look like it's moving down. And let's ride this out and see how much movement down we can get. And we're going to look to get out when the RSI does get a little bit closer to 30, when this sell-off here really has kind of exhausted itself. Now what we've done here is established a short position, and we're going to kind of ride it out here and actively manage our position and look to get out and do some profit taking or close the position entirely. So we're going to take a look, and as you see here, the market's kind of bouncing off of this 8 EMA, and it's not making a committed close above it or a committed move back up. So we're going to kind of let it exhaust itself here, and we do see the RSI getting relatively low again, so that might be a signal of a change in trend. And now we're looking and see, kind of makes a new low, and we're going to look to get out here. So basically, if we're in a longer position, this would be like a good opportunity for you to take some profits and get out of the trade, as we're starting to see a little bit of movement here above the 8 EMA, and probably going to expect another bullish crossing, and it looks like the RSI is relatively low, so it's going to want to ease off of the selling here. But we were just in, and we're able to effectively identify basically a short sequence. So basically, let's take a look if we were to actually go ahead and measure this move that we were able to catch in this short sequence. And if you take a look at it, if you were to nail the top to the bottom, it'd be 15 pips. Now, that would be a perfect world, but we wouldn't be able to actually identify some serious selling confirmation here. And even if you missed it and you're still into it a little bit, you could have easily caught 10 pips out of this downside move. So if we're looking at 5-minute binary options, this could have been a great opportunity to take a sell position. Right when we get our confirmation and start seeing the market pulling down, that would have been our best time to enter with the highest probability of having a profitable trade. About halfway through the downside move, you see the price come up and get rejected by the 8 EMA. These could also be great entries, but since we start to see the RSI approaching 30, it's hard to tell how much more selling pressure we can see before it does get exhausted and see another short-term move to the upside. Now, once we were out of our short sequence here, we did see the RSI almost hit 30 here, which is going to be our first indication of another move upward in the short term. And we do see our bullish crossing, exactly what we want to see. And this would have been another opportunity for you to come in, get long, even look to buy some 5-minute binary options and see what we can get out of this long sequence here. And as you see it move up, we're just going to pretty much just wait for this pattern to repeat itself over and over again. It's very consistent, very repeatable, and this is going to be the opportunity for you to come in when this long sequence kind of fades out. We're going to look to get short again. Now we see that there's definitely some movement going on here and we're moving a little bit to the downside, but let's take a look at what we could have gotten out of this move to the upside here. If you go ahead and actually measure it, we can take a look and see this was good for about 12, almost 13 pips to the upside from the top to bottom. And this is just going to be another example of, kind of looking to get out of your position, do some profit taking, and then maybe looking for the next leg up or down. We don't necessarily get the move that we're looking for off of this big red candlestick about 8 minutes back. And again, we see it interact with the RSI right up there by the 70 point mark, and we didn't get our bearish crossing. So this wouldn't have been necessarily the best place to enter since we didn't really see the crossing, which would be basically half of the setup that we're looking for. So we're going to remain a little bit patient here and actually wait for this next bearish crossing, and it looks like we're starting to get it right now as we do get this big close down below the 8 and the next candle opens. Doesn't really pop up too much, but we're going to take a look and let this play out and just see where it really goes. As you can see, we do start to really see some of the selling pressure come off of that bearish crossing, and it comes down, the RSI gets really low, it goes below 30, kind of pops up, but you see it gets rejected again by that 8 EMA, and it just continues making new lows, moving down, and then we start closing up here above the 8. This is where you're really going to want to get out of the position. I mean, uh, as you've seen through these three setups that we just went through, you'll really just watch the market move in cycles like this, where it moves down, moves up a little bit, the bullish to bearish crossings back and forth, and then the RSI just oscillating between 70 and 30. This really just gives you a good opportunity to identify some of the moves in the short term and come in and take some trades based off of what you're seeing. This setup that we're using is very simple. You're just really looking to observe an EMA crossing paired with an overbought or oversold signal from the RSI. A lot of people that I've seen trade before have a ton of indicators, and sometimes it gets pretty complicated. But when you go back to some of the textbook indicators and some of the strategies that people have been using for a really long time, they really can simplify it for you. That way, there's not as much noise on your chart. And as you can see, we've actually gotten quite a few good moves that we've been able to observe. And if you were actually able to take any trades based on these, you would have had a pretty profitable day. As the person watching this video, I really challenge you to go into a demo account here, take a look at some of the products that we offer, and really just try to incorporate this very simple, basic setup to your strategy. Test it out on the demo account. A really good way to actually test some strategies would be to take 10 trades, small trades, manageable trades, and really just calculate basically a win percentage. See how often and how many times you can actually get this basic repeatable strategy to work for yourself, and see if you can incorporate it to an actual trading strategy on a live account.